All right, welcome in. Time to talk some college basketball here on the College Basketball Tip-Off Show powered by WagerTalk.com. I'm Joe Ranieri. Appreciate you stopping by here as we welcome in Brian Leonard, ready to roll, as is R1L. That would be Steve Merrill. On this Friday card, not the biggest of cards here, but we do have a couple of primetime games we want to talk about. One involving Georgetown, West Virginia. The other is Illinois and Northwestern. It's been an interesting start. We've had some great games this week in college hoops, guys. The UConn-Baylor game was great. And I think we're going to have an even better weekend. But with the limited games here, I do think Georgetown and West Virginia is pretty interesting with these two programs at this point. And, of course, we're expecting great things from Georgetown. A lot of people very high on this team this year, and with good reason. They certainly have the pedigree to be good. But, man, I got to tell you, West Virginia brings over the former coach of Drake. He brings his son, Brian Leonard, and all of a sudden they're shooting lights out, and they're going to be a tough out for anybody. Georgetown's getting a boatload of points in here. What are you thinking here? Is West Virginia the right side? Do we trust them to lay that big a number in this spot?
Well, we've all been around for quite a while, and we remember the days where we can only bet on Ivy League basketball on Fridays.
Yeah.
So even though this is a light schedule and not a lot of great teams, there's still good money-making opportunities. You mentioned Georgetown. They're 7-1 on the season. Their only loss was a home game. They got blown out by Notre Dame 84-63. In fact, this is only going to be the second game Georgetown has not been a double-digit favorite this season. They've had a very easy schedule thus far, and it's also their first road game of the season, and playing in West Virginia is never a lot of fun when you're going on the road there, as I have the West Virginia home court a little bit higher than just about anybody else. Very tough place to play. That said, you had mentioned this is a lot of points, and this has gone up about a point since the opener. Georgetown is a team, if I take a look at their top five players, their top five guys who get minutes, they're very good. The problem with Georgetown is it really drops off after that. They don't have a lot of depth. I'm really kind of surprised they didn't play the bench more against lesser teams to see what they have, because they've got guys, their top five guys are all playing 20 minutes or more, and their number 6 guy pays 18.6. So the starters are good for Georgetown. The problem is they don't have a lot of depth. They'll be playing first game on the road at West Virginia, a team that always plays solid defense, and as you mentioned, they're a very good shooting team. This is what I'm hoping happens for the future, is Georgetown gets blown out here, and then we can get value on them. They play Syracuse coming up. I'm hoping that happens. Still, I prefer the Georgetown side here. I just think the line's a little bit too high, but I do have some concerns about this Georgetown team playing only their second good team they played, and they got blown out in the other one, and first game on the road. So I'm not going to have a bet on it. I'm going to watch it. But if Georgetown gets blown out, next time they play, they'll play Syracuse, and I think we're going to have some value in that regard.
Listen, we all know, Merrill, Ed Cooley is one of the greatest there. We saw what he did at Providence. Give him a couple of years here to build back Georgetown up. He does have 5 legit Big East caliber players here, which is more than they've had in years past here, but they can't hit the three. You and I talk threes all the time on this show because it's the great equalizer in a lot of spots. But is positive regression come? We're talking about a team that shoots 28% from three. Ed Cooley's not going to win a lot of games as an 8-point underdog if he can't shoot threes. If they regress to the middle here and they all of a sudden get some buckets, this is going to be a closer game than West Virginia wants. But what do you think we're going to get?
That as well in the season, for a team that's gone 7-1, you wouldn't expect them to be shooting 28.5% from 3-point range. Normally, I would say that's due to come up a little bit, and it probably will. But the problem is West Virginia's got an excellent perimeter D. In fact, their opponents take 23 threes per game, and they're hitting only 29.5%. So I don't think they're going to – it's hard to imagine, like Brian said, on the road, first true road game, that they're all of a sudden going to start shooting lights out here. So I do think the poor shooting is going to continue. I don't like this setup at all for Georgetown. In fact, the one time they've been an underdog this season, they were blown out by 21 points against Notre Dame as a 3-point home dog back in mid-November. The favorite is 8-0 straight up in all Georgetown games this year because of that. So I think the only reason you can back Georgetown here is if you hope the line is too high and they can stay within the 8.5 points. It is a big number, but I don't like to back teams at home for over a month, haven't played a true road game, did not step up in class well. And we talk about that schedule. Even facing Notre Dame, they have still played one of the weakest schedules in the country. In fact, out of 364 Division I teams, they've played the 359th easiest schedule this year. And it's equal across the board. If you look at offense and defensive opponents, 359 and 358 faced. Meanwhile, West Virginia has played a top 25 strength of schedule. So lots of reasons to like West Virginia. Both teams, by the way, force a lot of turnovers. So if it gets a little bit of a turnover fest both ways, if both teams are able to steal whatnot, the under 143 might come into play. But I like West Virginia in this setup. I think it's a bad spot for Georgetown. And West Virginia hit 75% of their free throws also, so they should be able to extend the lead down the stretch.
Yeah, it's defense. Ed Cooley always had very good defensive teams. He looks to have a pretty good one in there. There's no reason. Defense is all about effort, and I think they'll have a big effort here in that first road game tonight. But 49%, Brian Leonard, 49% of West Virginia's shots come from deep. If it's an off night, is this what we're just letting Georgetown? I mean, because that's the problem with a team that they space the floor great, but if you're going to chuck up nearly 50% of your shots from three, there are going to be nights where it doesn't drop, and then what are we supposed to do?
Yeah, that's exactly what you have to look at when you see how points are made. Very like the Boston Celtics in the NBA right now, they're just shooting the lights out from three-pointers, but anytime you have more of your shots taken from three-point range, you're going to have more variance. So what I like to do, if I like the underdog in those games, is instead of taking the points, I like to play them on the money line. Because if they're not hitting their threes, they're not going to win the game. And that's a situation in which we get a nice plus price in a lot of these games. So keep that in mind for both the NBA and college basketball for these teams that do throw up a lot of threes. If they don't have their good game, they could lose that game straight up.
It's a great point there, Brian. Yep. And certainly in college basketball where there's enough variance already. But when you get a team shooting almost 50% of their shots from the outside, doesn't take much for a bad night to all of a sudden let a double-digit dog stay in the game and stay in it late. So Georgetown, West Virginia, that is game one here on the card we're going to talk about. Let's shift gears over to Illinois now, getting ready to take on Northwestern. And this is another interesting matchup, 9 o'clock Eastern time, I believe. The tip for this one, I'm seeing a total right around 144. Illinois, 3.5 point favorite at the open. It feels like maybe Northwestern, Steve Merrill, has a little bit of undervalued in the marketplace, shall we say here. They're 0-1 in Big Ten, but my goodness, I mean, they barely lost on the road to Iowa there. I thought they could have actually won that game, but I just don't think this is the same old Illinois teams that we've had in the past. So what do you think here with the team getting 3.5, maybe more points here?
Well, this game definitely makes my short list when I start handicapping the card because it's a tempo difference. And we've got a slow-down half-court team in Northwestern against an Illinois team that plays pretty fast. And the fact that Northwestern is at home, I think, enables them to keep the game close, control the tempo. You know, the problem with the slow-down teams, kind of like a team that doesn't throw the ball well in football, is when they get behind, they have trouble catching up. But the fact that this is at Northwestern, it's a competitively priced game. I think they'll be in it, and they can keep it slow, and that will frustrate Illinois in this spot. Illini coming off the neutral court game against Arkansas last week. High-scoring game. In fact, they've scored 90 or more in 2 straight. They've scored 87 or more in 4 straight, and they've scored 90 or more, actually 87 or more in every game but one this season. And that was a non-cover against Oakland, which was a slower paced game. So I think the tempo here sets up well for Northwestern, and it's a good spot for them to dictate pace at home. Could be a live dog here, +3.
Yeah, +3. What do you think, Brian? I mean, it does feel like you either take the points of Northwestern or maybe you just go money line with Illinois. How do you approach it in this one?
Yeah, it's a tough one for me because the line is basically what I made it. Go back to the tempo situation, Illinois ranks 45th in tempo, or Northwestern's 339. Illinois did play one team so far this year that likes to run even more than they do, and that's Alabama. And they gave up 100 points in that game. They lose that on a neutral court, 100-87. So this one will be, we talked about in the last one, this will be the first true road game for Illinois this season. They come in 6-1. They lost to Alabama as their only loss thus far. Northwestern 6-3. They lost to Dayton on the road by 5. They lost to Butler at a neutral by 2. And last time out, as you mentioned, that Iowa game, they lost on the road by 1. So they're a little bit more tested here. They are playing at home. In their home games, they won every single one of their home games, although it was a little bit weaker competition. But I like this Illinois team a little bit better than a lot of people do, and I could still only get to 3 in this game. Illinois got more depth. They've got 8 guys in this rotation that have a Bayesian power rating of over 2.5. You don't find too many of that right now, and a lot of it is because of their weaker schedule they have played. They haven't gotten into the meat of the schedule yet, but it's very similar to what you said. I think if Northwestern at number 339 can dictate the tempo, I think they win. If they're not able to dictate the tempo, I think Illinois has enough offensive talent to win it late in the game in a tight situation. So, yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. Illinois, if you like them to win straight up, I would go that way. But from a point spread standpoint, I think Northwestern may be the way to go. But it's right in my range where I just don't have enough to back it myself.
Illinois, I don't believe they've won here at Northwestern since 2022. They have been pretty feisty here, Northwestern, over the last couple of years here. What do you think, Merrill? What do you look at when you get a young Illinois team like this, not as experienced that we've had in years past? First true road game. Brad Underwood, not exactly one of my favorite coaches, mostly because he always ends up screwing me every time. Somehow I back Illinois. But would it be worth a look maybe early because you don't know what you're going to get from this young team, Illinois, at home or on the road with their first true road game here against Northwestern in conference? Maybe you look to fade them early, and if they got enough talent, look to back them late in the game?
Well, I think it makes sense for a couple reasons, the points you just made, but also, like I said, as long as Northwestern can keep it close, they can slow it down, right, and that favors the underdog. So obviously it's going to be close to tip-off. It'll be 0-0, so I think Northwestern probably has a little bit more of an edge in the first half for that reason. The first half line is 1.5, full game line is 3.5, so it's pretty much a fair price there. And something else I want to mention, we talked about West Virginia taking almost 50% of their shots from three-point range. And, by the way, something we failed to mention, it does give me some hesitation on WVU. 3 straight overtime games last week and 3 straight days. Yeah. So now they've been off since last week, but, I mean, I don't know how that lingers. That's insane when you think about it. 3 OT games, 3 days, no rest is what they did last week. So that could affect the three-point shooting there. But Northwestern only takes 29% of their shots from 3. They take like 17 a game out of their like 58 total. And Illinois has been very strong defending the 3 this year. So once again, I think the matchup actually is favorable for Northwestern. They're not going to live and die by the 3, which makes you trust them a little bit more as a home dog.
Liking them maybe as a home dog in this one here. 3.5 is what we are looking at in that game. And guys, we will absolutely have some best bets here that we'll talk about. Again, slight limited card here on this Friday with a couple of higher profile big conference games. Illinois, Northwestern, of course, and then Georgetown taking on West Virginia should be interesting. Do want to let you guys know also, if you haven't done so, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, become part of the WagerTalk TV family. We'd certainly appreciate it. And keep in mind here, we've got a little something for everybody right now over at WagerTalk.com, including an all-access $199 December special. So you can get bowl games, you can get college basketball, NBA, all access across the board for $199 with your favorite handicapper now at WagerTalk.com. Take advantage. You'll have no more sports all going on at the same time than right now. So a $199 deal across the board, and these two guys cover them all. You'll be hard-pressed to find a better NHL handicapper than Brian Leonard, and you guys already know Merrill on the hardwood is absolutely profitable, so no reason not to take advantage of that $199 deal now over at WagerTalk.com. Let's talk here some best bets and remind the folks what you guys have locked and loaded over at the page. Brian Leonard, I'll start with you here, my man. Anything on the hardwood here tonight or on the pigskin for that matter?
Well, I do have one play, but instead of buying it, I'm going to give it to everybody for stopping in and watching the show today. I do have a 5% in college football today. I've got a couple strong plays in college football for tomorrow, and I'll be adding plays tonight and tomorrow in that regard. Been on a nice run on just about every sport right now. So if you want to get that package through the end of the season, through the end of the year, a lot of good specials right out there for anybody looking for that. I'm going to take a look at the Sienna and Niagra game. The Saints come into tonight with a 4-4 record, with this being their fourth true road game of the season. Now, we just mentioned a couple of games where the team had not played a road game yet. So they're already tested on the road. They had snapped back from a 4-game losing streak last time out with a 71-58 victory over Bucknell. And when comparing the rosters between Sienna and Niagra here, basically the Purple Eagles don't have a single player on their team with a positive Bayesian power rating, according to Evan Maya and his excellent website. He does a tremendous job over there. So he gives us the stats for the players that are starting, how many minutes. If you're going to handicap on your own, I definitely recommend going to evanmaya.com and give him some money. He doesn't charge a lot for it. It's an excellent source. Niagara's 3-5 on the year, and their wins have come against Houghton, Binghamton, and LIU. That's a lower division opponent, and teams ranking 323rd and 317th by our power ratings. Sienna's a better team. They've been tested on the road. They've got the better players, and you're getting them as an underdog here. I don't understand why money came in on Niagara here. I don't see it. I like Sienna plus the 2, and that'll be my best bet on the show today.
Ooh, I like it. All right, Sienna plus the 2 here for Brian Leonard via Adam Trigger via let's face it, just that whole MAC conference is head-scratching there. I think Trig is actually at the Sienna game here tonight as well there, Brian. We'll send him his love there. How about you, Double R1L, Steve Merrill, locked and loaded here tonight? And what are you looking at for a best bet?
Yeah, first of all, let everybody know that I do have an NBA best bet tonight. Also, I'll be back at 3:30 Eastern in 1 hour with you and Andy Lang doing the NBA tip-off show here live. So be sure to tune in. Or if you're watching the replay now, watch the replay of the NBA show. They're 24/7 here. But strong NBA best bet tonight. We swept the board each of the past 2 nights in football and basketball. So we got some momentum heading into this weekend. And don't forget also my college football top 25 video is posted right now. I did 5 of the 9 games this week. That's right. It's the smallest card of the season, week 15, but it's the most top 25 matchups we've had all year with 5 of them out of the 9 games. You're getting a ton of content for free here on Wager Talk TV. Make sure you click subscribe and you click that bell for an instant alert, and comment as well, and thumbs up like. The more comments, the more likes, the more shows and videos we do here on Wager Talk TV. It's that simple. All right, let's look at a free play on the extra board. We got to dive even deeper here on this small card Friday. And we've seen some sharp money, at least the sharp book lean. It's been pretty much 14.5. But if you look at the sharp books, they all like Davidson tonight at 7 Eastern on that extra board against Charleston Southern. And as I dug a little bit deeper into that game, I don't disagree for a couple reasons. First of all, Davidson's played one of the toughest schedules in the country, so this is a huge step down in class now. And, the question when you have a big favorite is, will they be focused? Will they have the motivation to win? I think that checks all the boxes here for a few reasons. First of all, Davidson's coming off the 3-game neutral court tournament last week during Thanksgiving, in which they faced Arizona, Providence, and Gonzaga. They lost 2 of those 3 games by over 20 points against Arizona and Gonzaga, including the most recent loss by 25. So fully focused spot here. It's their first home game back in a couple weeks. And they take on a Charleston Southern team that's a little bit overvalued ever since they pulled that huge monster upset over Miami of Florida last week. They beat Miami of Florida as a 24.5-point underdog. Not a good weekend for Miami of Florida sports last Saturday, football or basketball. No offense, Joe. But I think because of that, they're a little overrated now. This is a team that had lost 5 in a row before that Miami upset, and they had lost, I believe, 4 of those 5 games by double digits. Wacky things happen during the Thanksgiving tournament, so we can often take advantage of them. They shot lights out in those last 2 wins, hitting over 50%. I don't look for that to happen tonight on the road against a Davidson team that'll be fully focused here. Take a look at Davidson minus the 14.5 on the extra board, goes at 7 Eastern.
Oh, love it. All right, getting it done there with Davidson. I'm going to like the under in that game, too, as well. Charleston's Southern shooting in its last couple of wins against, like you said, Miami in one of those games there, Merrill. I mean, they're hitting mostly 47% from 3. That is going to regress, especially against Davidson, who will be the best defensive team that they have faced thus far. So I do like that game, but my best bet is also got to go with, why not? Can we expect an absolute blowout by UAB at home coming off of that, horrific loss against Middle Tennessee State? The answer is absolutely. Will they score 100 points or more? I'm thinking they will absolutely destroy Prarie View here. It's the highest total, I believe, on the board at 171. And yeah, I see that happening. These two teams in the past have gone nothing but crazy up tempo. And I can absolutely see Prarie View, who there's levels to this, and Prarie View is not even remotely close given the fact that they haven't given up less than 84 points in a game. They even gave up 90 to something called biblical studies. I don't even know what the hell that is. I didn't know that they even had a basketball team, but they dropped 90 on them. I think UAB in a very foul mood after that loss on Sunday at home. I think they get back. Don't be afraid of the number. It's high for a reason, and I see this game going up and over the 170.5. May even want to look at UAB's team total, guys, because they are more than capable of dropping 100 or more points in this one. All right, guys, that will do it here. Brian Leonard, he told you he's got that 5% best bet in college football tonight. So this is what you do. You get over to WagerTalk.com, go to his page there, and grab that, guys, as there's no reason not. Make it a hell of a start to the weekend, which will see plenty of college hoops, plenty of college football, NBA, NHL. Merrill told you he is ready to roll this weekend. Make sure you check out the videos and the game breakdowns he has of all the games coming up this weekend. The links are in the description. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and don't go anywhere. Eric D in the house, Titan CT, Big Daddy. You guys know what's next. 3:30 Eastern. The prop god there, Andy Lang, as well as R1L, will be joining us probably about 40 minutes, 3:30 Eastern time. We'll be doing the NBA tip-off show. A lot to say with the slate of games there tonight, so make sure you come back and join us. Until then, cash those tickets, guys. We'll see you again soon.